Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Shannon, and today I thought I would tier rank my 5-star reads. I got this video idea from Sara Carrolli, so some of the names of the tiers are the same or similar to hers, just so you are aware of that. But I thought we'd just get right into it. I only have about 40 books on this list, and a lot of them are parts of the series. Some of them are all of the series, and some are just one or two of the books on the series. But I'll just start screen recording. So as you can see here, all of the tiers are rated as such. The top tier is Imprinted on My Soul. This means I was genuinely changed after reading this book. It is something I think about every single day, and it will forever be one of the most important things I've ever done in my entire life, is to read that book. The next one is 6-star reads. These books are better than 5 stars. They are higher above than the average 5-star book, for me at least. They impacted me in a way that a regular 5-star book doesn't. And yeah. The next possible rating is just a solid 5-star reads. This book, or these books, they're 5 stars, nothing more, nothing less. They fulfilled every requirement. They made me feel a special feeling that made them 5 stars, and I loved it. Like, most 5-star books, they don't get to be 5 stars without making me giddy. Okay. Below that, we have I Changed My Rating, which is a book that, looking back on it, probably wasn't 5 stars, and now that I have distance from the book, I start to see problems with it. And the last ranking we have is A Thing of the Past. This basically just means to me that I wouldn't even really rank this that high anymore. Like, I'd change my rating. It's still like a 4.5. Like, it's not perfect, but it was really good. Thing of the Past is basically, this book is problematic, and I did not love it. Or, I do not love it anymore. This was good for me at the time, but that was just because I was just starting to get back into reading. Let's just get started. So first we have A Court of Mist and Fury. I'm not going to give it any descriptions, I'm just going to rank them. This is a 6-star read. I love A Court of Mist and Fury. It is not my favorite book in the series, but it is outstanding. A Court of Thorns and Roses. I would change my rating on this. I don't think it is 5 stars. It is up there though for me. A Court of Wings and Ruin. This one is going to be Imprinted on My Soul. I love this book so much. It is so powerful and moving, and I like the politics aspect of it, and more than anything, I love revenge, and watching Farah get her revenge was probably my favorite thing about this whole book. Archer's Voice. 6-star read. This book is one of the books that got me back into romance. I love this book. This is probably where my love of the quiet, soft, brooding man came from. love that book. The Ballad of Never After, also a 6-star read. This book, I recently read this about maybe even a month ago now. But I loved it so much. I just loved every aspect of this book. It was so perfect, and I'm so excited for the next one to come out. By a Thread by Lucy Score, a solid 5-star rating. This book was so good. I loved the dynamic, I loved the banter, I loved the groveling. I love this book. It was perfect, but it didn't go much deeper than that for me. Daisy Jones and the Six, a solid 5 stars. This book is so good. I love the dynamic between all the characters, especially after watching the show, hearing the music. I literally have the vinyl, but this book is really good. Okay. Daisy Hates, solid 5 stars. This book is really good. It's where we first meet Daisy, get more into Christian. We meet Julian, the Lost Boys. I love this book. It is incredible. Daisy Hates the Great Undoing. This book is imprinted on my soul. I don't think I could ever properly articulate the way that this book made me feel. I have such a lasting love and respect for Jessa Hastings for being able to write the way she writes. I really just can't even put it into words how much I love this book. I have a quote from it on my wall, and from that quote I have a giant tattoo on my arm. I love it so much, and I will read just about anything she writes, especially after this book. Julian Hates has my entire heart. I don't think I've ever wished for a happy ending more so than I have for this man. Done and Dusted, a solid 5 stars. This was very cute. I loved this book. I love books where the guy is just so down bad, and he really is in this book. It's a brother's best friend. Guy falls first. Kind of forced proximity. Small town. It's really good. And don't be deterred by the shortness of the book. It still has a really good plot. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros is a 6-star read. This book is outstanding. It is so good. I loved every aspect of it. I read this on my Kindle actually because I didn't want to tab the painted edges version, and I ended up with almost 600 highlights, which all equate to underlines and tabs in the actual book, and the book is only 500 pages in the physical copy. So if that doesn't tell you how much I loved it, I don't know what will, but I would highly recommend. Funny you should ask. I've seen so many bad things about this book. I loved it, especially the now timeline. I didn't love the past, but I really enjoyed the present timeline. I'd probably change my rating because I don't think it's perfect, but I did really love that book. Greenwich Park by Catherine Faulkner. This is a thriller book. It is incredible. I'm gonna put it in I'd change my rating just because it put me off for a while. I got around to the 150 page mark and I kind of like stalled out because it is kind of a slow burn thriller, Like, it takes a while to get to the meat of the book, but right after the halfway mark, you really get into it. But with the slowness in the beginning, it kinda made me stop reading for a while. So it's not perfect, but it's really, really good. It's my favorite thriller, and I would highly recommend it to everyone. Hook, line, and sinker. I'd say this is a solid 5 stars. I love the friends to lovers in this book, and I love Fox. He's so sweet, and if you've read this book, you'll know what I mean when I say that the vinyl collection meant everything to me. And I just love this book so much. Hooked. I honestly don't know where to put this. I'd probably put this in, I don't know, I'm kind of tied between 6 and 5 stars. I don't know. I think it was a solid 5 stars. It was really good. I really like James's character and the surprise aspect that he gets. I will say, I predicted most of this story. I was able to tell who was evil, and like I could tell what was going on from probably the middle of the story. I could tell what all the surprise points were going to be, and I was still shocked when it happened, but I was right. Harry Potter. Okay, I'm gonna do this kind of rapid fire because I know it's a pretty long series. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is a solid 5 stars. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is a solid 5 stars. Prisoner of Azkaban, solid 5 stars. Goblet of Fire, 6-star read. Order of the Phoenix. I don't know. 6-star read. Half-Blood Prince, imprinted on my soul. That book is everything. And I sobbed hysterically. Along with the Deathly Hallows is going to be imprinted on my soul. This series is outstanding. I truly believe that everyone should read it at least once in their lifetime, and that in 100 years from now, it will be regarded as a classic piece of literature. I literally love this series. On the last 4 books, I legitimately sobbed my eyes out at the end, especially Half-Blood Prince. I actually have a reading vlog of me reading the entire Harry Potter series on my channel if you want to check that out, but I love these books so much. Okay, next. Icebreaker. I'd change my rating on this. I don't think it's a 5 stars anymore, but I remember really enjoying it and really loving it, and I really appreciated how well they communicated. There is no miscommunication in this book at all. Like, they communicate so well, and I liked that the third act conflict wasn't a full-on breakup. Like, I really appreciated that. So that's probably why I rated it 5 stars in the first place. Okay. Ignite Me. This is the 3rd book, not including the novellas, in the Shatter Me series. I love this book. I still love this book. I haven't finished the series fully, but I love this series so much, and I love Aaron Warner so much. In a Jam. I'm actually going to put this in Thing of the Past. This was a very good book. I really enjoyed the child, the romance, and everything, but she, like, looking back on it, it wasn't a 5-star read, and she talked about her size so much that it got annoying. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but she acted like it was, and that got on my nerves. It happened one summer. I would probably change my rating on this. I still think it was an excellent book, and the story and the plot was all really, really well done. I just don't think it is as good as I previously thought it was. Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren is a solid 5 stars. This book is really, really good. I cried in the first 30 pages. I loved their bonding over reading in this book. I thought that was really beautiful, and I just love their romance so much and everything they've been through. A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime. This is a thing of the past. This book, looking back on it, is very problematic. I wasn't thinking about it when I read it, but afterwards I started thinking about it, and like, these are very explicit scenes for minors, like they're minors in the book, and I just think it's a little gross. It just rubbed me the wrong way looking back on it, because I definitely wasn't thinking, like, I wasn't picturing children in these scenes. I was picturing like people like my age, like 21, because these are very inappropriate scenes to be writing about minors. Anywho, Magnolia Parks, the first one. This is a solid 5 stars. I loved this book. I remember starting this series and I was planning on reading one a month, and I read this book on a Saturday, I think, and by the next week I had read them all. I loved this book. I had to go back into the story, into the world, the found family, the romances, the friendships. It's so good. It's so good. Again, Magnolia Park's Long Way Home. This is actually a 6-star read for me. I think I would have to say that it was because of Julian, but again, it's just such a good series. Such a good series. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is a solid 5 stars. It is the perfect introduction to this series, and it was perfect to me, but it was really good. I also just love her writing. Stephanie Garber's writing and the way she writes is very good, almost to the level of how Jessa Hastings' writing affects me as well. Next, we have Reckless by Elsie Silver. This is a solid 5 stars. For me, I loved this book. I love Winter. I love Theo. I don't think I'd change a single thing about this book. It was so, so good. I love it. And normally, I don't know, I wouldn't say this is even a spoiler because it happens in like the first 100 pages, but normally the pregnancy trope isn't good. That is not the case for this book. This is a very, very good interpretation of the pregnancy trope, and it's so good. We have Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is a solid 5 stars. This book was so good. It was a very interesting romance. It was enemies to friends to lovers. The politics of it were very interesting. All of the characters in this book were amazing, except like the people who are supposed to be the villains, but that's only like 2 people. The banter in this book is off the charts. I loved it. Scarred by Emily McIntyre. I'd change my rating on this one. I don't think it's 5 stars, but I do think it's very high up there. I loved this book. I loved the revolutionary aspect of it. I loved the child in it. I loved the romance. It was all very good. I just think that because I read this book in one sitting, I got like a book high and rated it 5 stars. I don't think it's perfect, but it was very good. Next one, we have The Drowned Woods by Emily Lloyd Jones. I would change my rating of this. I think, like the last one, I got a book high after finishing this book because the ending was really good, but I don't think it's 5 stars. I think it's high up there, but it's not 5 stars. This was my first fantasy book in a while when I read it, and so I think that impacted it, but it's a very, very, very good book, and I would still rate it very highly. The Duke and I'm going to go again with I'd change my rating. I don't think this book is perfect. I think because of the TV show, this impacted the way I read the book, and I think I liked it more than I would had I just read it by itself. But the story was still very good. It is pretty spicy for a book, but it's still really, really good. Things We Hide from the Light. I'm gonna say this is a solid 5 stars. I know that's kind of controversial, but I loved this book. I loved watching Nash get over his trauma. I loved watching Lena help be there for him and take care of him when he wouldn't let anyone else close enough to. I loved seeing all the characters from Things We Never Got Over. This was a very, very good book for me. Things We Never Got Over is a 6-star read for me. I loved this book. This was my first Lucy Score book. I love everything about this story. I love Nux and Naomi. I love, love, love Waylay. She's probably one of my favorite parts of the story. I like the subplot of the mystery in there and the crime. I think that added a lot to the story, but very, very, very good. Twisted Hate by Anna Huang. This is the 3rd book in the Twisted series by Anna Huang. I loved this book. It is a enemies with benefits romance. It's a best friend's brother. It's so good. Jules is very fiery and witty, and I love that. The banter is so good in these books. I just loved it so much. So much. Okay, I'm actually realizing just now I forgot to put a book on here, so I'm just gonna talk about it. If I had remembered to put the picture on here, you would have seen me put All Roads Lead Here in a solid 5 stars, but All Roads Lead Here was a phenomenal book. It was, honestly, I'd say it was a lit fic book with a romance subplot because of how slow burn it is, but it's such a good story watching Aurora go through grief over her mother's disappearance while falling in love with Rhodes and his son. Not romantically with his son, but like falling in love with his family. It's just such a good book. Okay. The last book we have on here is When in Rome by Sarah Adams, and this book is a solid 5 stars. I loved this book. It was just what I needed when I read it. It was a small town. The baker aspect really got me. I loved the found family. I loved everything about this book. It was just a short and sweet romance book, and I loved it so, so much. But those are all of my 5-star reads ranked for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more book videos. If you'd like to be notified right when I post a new video, just turn on the notification bell. I hope you are having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are in the world, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!